Hello everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to trace the incredibly fascinating journey of how a simple line of code travels from a local laptop all the way to users across the globe. We hear buzzwords like CI and CD tossed around all the time, but today, we're going to really break down what they mean and why they are the absolute backbone of modern software engineering. So, how exactly does code travel from a laptop to a global customer? Imagine you're an application developer. You've just finished coding a killer new calculator feature on your laptop. But your customer? Well, they're sitting in the USA or Europe or maybe somewhere else entirely. How the heck do you make sure your new code reaches them securely, efficiently, and flawlessly? It's a massive logistical puzzle that literally every single tech company has to solve. All right, let's look at our roadmap for today. We'll cover the software delivery problem, unpack CI and CD, break down the anatomy of a pipeline, navigate dev environments, look at Jenkins orchestration, and wrap up with modern cloud-native scaling. Let's jump right in.
Starting with Section 1, the software delivery problem, manual versus automated.
To really grasp the solution here, we've got to look at the massive bottleneck that plagued legacy delivery for years. Imagine having to manually test for bugs, check every line of formatting, and run security scans by hand every single time a piece of code gets committed. It would literally take months. But today, with modern automated validation, that exact same process takes just days or weeks with way higher reliability. It's a total night and day difference. Which brings us to Section 2, unpacking CI and CD, or as I like to call it, the automated factory. First up, the CI, continuous integration. Think of this as your automated quality control station. Instead of crossing your fingers and hoping for the best, your raw code is rigorously tested the absolute second it's submitted. It's all about ensuring top-notch quality before that code moves an inch forward. Then we have the CD part, continuous delivery. This is the grand finale of our assembly line. It's the automated process of taking that fully verified application and safely shipping it out onto a platform where your actual customers can, use it. Moving right along to Section 3, anatomy of a pipeline, looking at those automated checkpoints. Virtually every major tech organization pushes their code through 6 crucial automated gates: unit testing, static code analysis, vulnerability testing, functional testing, reporting, and finally, deployment. This process is exactly how they guarantee a flawless product every single time. Let's unpack what these tools are actually doing behind the scenes, all without a human having to lift a finger. First, unit testing verifies the basic math, like does 2 plus 3 actually equal 5? Next, static analysis checks your formatting and catches memory leaks, so you aren't hoarding unused variables. Then, vulnerability testing scans for backdoor hacker entries, because obviously you can't ship a glaring security flaw. Functional testing ensures your shiny new addition feature didn't accidentally break the old subtraction feature. Then the whole shebang gets documented seamlessly in reporting, paving the way for a rock-solid deployment. All right, Section 4, navigating development environments, mapping out the graduation path. Code doesn't just magically teleport to the customer. It has to graduate. It usually kicks off in a dev environment. Think of a simple, cheap instance just for initial QA testing. Once it gets the green light, it moves up to staging. Staging is a beefier, mid-sized cluster that perfectly mimics your real-world setup for deep validation. And finally, production. That's the highly scaled environment your real customers are actually touching. You never, ever test directly on production. You build up to it safely. Let's hit Section 5, orchestrating with Jenkins, looking at legacy automation. For years, Jenkins was the undisputed king of orchestrating this entire pipeline. It essentially just sits there, keeping a close eye on your GitHub repo. The very second a dev commits new code, Jenkins springs to life. It acts like a giant funnel, pulling in tools like Maven for building and Sonar for quality checks, and automatically running all your tests for you. But there's a pretty massive catch when it comes to scalability with legacy tools. Jenkins requires always-on compute. That means you're paying for hundreds of dedicated servers running 24/7. They're just sitting there, idling away on nights and weekends when absolutely nobody is coding. On the flip side, modern cloud-native tools offer scale to zero compute. They spin up power only when it's actively needed, which honestly saves an absolute ton of money and resources. Which perfectly tees up Section 6, modern scaling and cloud-native CI/CD. Modern CI/CD, using tools like GitHub Actions or Kubernetes, is a total game changer. Instead of renting static servers, you use event-driven containers that spin up the exact millisecond a code commit drops. These compute resources are seamlessly shared across dozens of project repos. And the kicker? They scale down to absolute zero when things are quiet. They create a temporary testing environment, do the job, and then literally delete themselves. Zero wasted resources. To put that into perspective, just look at the open source Kubernetes project. They have over 3,347 global developers pushing code. 3,347. And they use this exact shared resource, scale to zero method to flawlessly manage all those chaotic code submissions from every corner of the planet without wasting a single dime on idle servers. So I'll leave you with this final question. What bottleneck in your workflow are you going to automate next? Seriously, think about how these automated pipelines, from basic unit checks right up to cloud-native scaling, could absolutely transform the efficiency and reliability of your own projects. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and remember to subscribe to Zindagi Tales Hub. Catch you next time.